You're watching a Justin Marinelli film.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of HockBEE, your weekly source of world hockey news. We got a lot to unpack this week. We're coming up to the trade deadline, and things are starting to heat up in the NHL. Games start to matter more. Not to mention, we've recently had this year's Stadium Series games, our course of NHL outdoor games, and a lot of people over the years have had a lot to comment on this. The first time this happened in 2008, it was a spectacle to behold. It was few and far between where teams actually got the opportunity to compete in such a game. Now you see it all the time. People talk about, it's a money move by the NHL. Why not have every team play in one? Okay, it brings in the money. Well, this year certainly did that. In this year, we saw Matthew Rempe square off against Matt Martin in his first NHL shift. We saw a crazy stat on this where the man himself statistically has 300 times his time on attack in penalty minutes. Now, this is crazy because he has literally served more time in the penalty box than on the ice at this point, and we would like to get John Wazel's opinion on the matter.
All that talk about the Stadium Series got me a little nostalgic about the time when the Red Wings were last in a Winter Classic. I was just thinking to myself when I was watching the game this morning, actually, what if Chris Osgood, could suit up again in the alumni? I'd love to see him get, block some pucks. That'd be great. I'm always down for that. And on to this other guy, with his fighting, I don't think it would, the Red Wings are a bunch of fighters, but I don't think it'd fly. The Red Wings, you get out there and you fight, you take care of business, and then you know what you do? You get back on the ice and you play. You don't just sit in the box. You got to play the game. And that's all I got to say.
And I totally see your point, John. And many people these days, they talk about, does the NHL even have a place for what they call a goon in today's league? Back in the day, it was very, very common, right? You'd have a guy out there, his job was to enforce and bully the opponent, where now the game has really shifted to a matter of speed and talent, and we question, is there a place for a goon? I'll leave it to the viewers to answer that, but Matt Rempe seems to be causing, a kind of a rift in the fandom. Many people love it, the newcomers hate it, okay? So we'll leave it to the viewers, and let us know what you think about Matt Rempe. On to our next topic. We recently had a Canadian match to behold. It was the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Ottawa Senators. And it didn't go very well for the Leafs, who are currently on a 7-game winning streak. However, in this particular game, just over a week ago, we saw Ottawa Senator Rielly Gregg, who had an open net, no one around. He could have just tapped it in, which is, generally the protocol in hockey. It's kind of like an unwritten rule, you don't do anything too crazy into an empty net. He decided to tee up as he was on a driving shot on a golf course and smack it as hard as he possibly could into an empty net. Not too long after that, we saw Morgan Rielly of the Toronto Maple Leafs not take too kindly to that and cross-check him in the head. Now, we saw other plays this year who, they were similar, potentially less harmful from, namely, David Perron of, dare I say, the Detroit Red Wings, after his captain got smoked in the head and was unconscious on the ice for 5 minutes, get a huge suspension while Morgan Rielly gets 5 games. And I must ask, what is John Wazel's opinion on the matter?
You just try and take a slap shot on an empty net against the Red Wings. God bless Morgan Rielly for doing what was needed to be done. Imagine if that happened to the Red Wings. He would be dead, the man who took that slap shot. He would no longer be alive on this day on this earth. He would have been carted off that ice for doing some of that, garbage. We don't stand for it. It ain't right.
No, it's certainly not right. And the fact that the NHL Department of Player Safety is going to give the man 5 games for such a dangerous play, it's kind of crazy to think about, but I digress. On to better news. We have Adam Ružička of the Arizona Coyotes posting a video of himself on Instagram with a line of blow and mysteriously placing the vial of said substance into his mouth, sucking on it in a fashion that suggests that he wants a cigarette. Now, lots of people have a lot of opinions on this, right? It's the NHL, especially, John was just talking about old-time hockey here. I mean, you think about guys like Darren McCarty, so many players, cocaine was almost a part of the hockey culture, and it seemed to have died down. But Adam Ružička is having none of that. He's saying, I'm going to let the world see me doing coke at my home on my own time. And with this, it's interesting, especially when you get John Weasel's opinion on the matter.
There's nothing wrong going skiing every now and again, having a little fun. But why you gotta be flaunting it, The kids are big, NHL fans. They don't need to be seeing this kind of stuff. Act like an example. Imagine if you were Red Wing doing this. Eisman would have you off that team like that. He doesn't fly with that. He's the straightest man, on there. He's not going to be fooling around with no fucking snow. It's bullshit.
The Pistons lost.
The sky is blue, Sam. And I appreciate your words on the matter, John. Again, it's going back to old-time hockey and the culture that surrounds it. Do we want this in the game? It's a similar conversation about the fights that happen. A lot of the old heads, they get pissed when a ref breaks up a fight. A lot of the newcomers, they don't seem to have as much of a problem with it. It's a very similar issue. Drugs, fighting. Do they belong in the game? We'll leave it for the viewers to decide. The last topic I'd like to talk about is Auston Matthews scoring his 50th goal on the year, which makes him the fastest player to do that in 28 years and the fastest American-born player to ever do it in a season. What are John Weasel's opinion on the matter?
Before I get into Auston Matthews and whatever team he's on, I want to talk about the Red Wings. They won 6-1 today. 6-1? 6-1. I was watching during work today. It was amazing. I saw a coworker of mine who hadn't watched the Wings in years. It almost brought him to his knees watching him look at, playing this good. And then, all right, so now I got that out of the way. We can go to Auston Matthews, whatever, getting his 50 goals. Yeah, it's good, I could get 50 goals. But just imagine what he could have done with his career if he started on the Red Wings. Who knows where he would be right now? He could have 60, 70, maybe even 80 goals. It's just, it's pointless to debate it now. He's not a Red Wing. Josh.
Hey, man. I'm here because I needed to be, and I needed to tell you that I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't do this.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode of HockBEE, your weekly source of hockey news. Tune in next week for a similar episode. Thank you.
Or lotion.
You just watched Justin Marinelli film.